do. I think there's just me for now, but for an artist, I really don't have a lot of pencils around. I'll be getting my coffee. I'll be back in a few. I hope this is visible. I'm here. I don't think there's anyone else, but I'm here. All right. Good. All right, let's try this out. Why? There are so many stains on my finger, and I have no idea where all of these come from. I have a purple one here. I have one here that's probably ink, but not sure. This is a really nice way to use a dip pen, but I still find that I'm kind of holding it too hard. I get cramps in my arm and hand and fingers when I do that, which is, you know, not ideal. Sorry. Sorry. It is a somewhat nice day today, at least weather-wise. I'm listening to the news for now. And, yeah. Maybe I should not, but it's kind of hard not to. Like, it's... Even if I'm not in the US, it's still gonna impact me where I live in good old Canada. Because we're basically just the US's hat. Oops, sorry. It's a good coffee. It's a decaf. I really need to refresh the way I draw little greenery, little plants like that. I feel like all I do is a bunch of blobs with no rhyme or reason. I think it would be about like drawing some from reference, perhaps. This is definitely not my best inking job. I really have to step up my game. I'm not entirely sure how I can. Because the thing with art is you improve when you practice, but sometimes it's not all that obvious how to do it efficiently or what to practice, and there are also some skills that are just like very difficult to find motivation to practice. For me, that's mostly realism. Not that realism is easy, but I feel like it's the easy solution in the sense that you don't have really to adapt anything. You just have to find a way to work with what you're seeing. And when you try to stylize, I feel like that's when it gets a bit more difficult, because you have to not only not only understand what you're seeing. Sorry. I'm sorry. So you have to understand what you're seeing, but you also have to be able to like process it, to stylize it. Like, what are the features that I want to focus on? What are the features that I can remove? What do I want to, you know, kind of like, why am I still stylizing? Why am I doing the effort of making this in a stylized way? Wow. So, yeah. Like, I feel like I prefer to draw stylized stuff, but I find it really hard to do, because I can't visualize it. I can't visualize it, so it's difficult to sort of decide what is going to be the most important thing and what's going to be the less important thing and how I want to go about it. And it kind of makes for a drawing where everything is sort of on the same level. Like, there's not really any rhyme or reason to this stuff, and it bothers me, but I don't know how to fix it, so that's why I'm kind of stuck. So yeah, I have a few artists that I really like how they ink, so perhaps I need to do some studies of that. Since I can't really visualize stuff in my head, sometimes it's really helpful to do copies or studies of what other artists do, because it helps me kind of see what features are important or what to emphasize or not emphasize. There's a bit of a breeze today, that's kind of nice. But yeah, I really need to take the time and not forget to do a bit of study work, because I feel at a bit of an impasse. Sorry for the drinking noises. I think there's a hair stuck in my... Can't see it. If for some reason someone decides to watch this as a video on demand, just drop a little comment or something. Because I have no idea if people actually, the few members I have, if they have the time to rewatch these or not really. Which is, it's okay, no pressure. I'm just curious because I've never really done this. So I'm kind of looking for the data that I don't have. Guess I'm almost done with inking this somewhat. And then there's another little thing that I want to paint as this dry, but I wanted to ink this because I'm gonna need it for a future video, and I thought that it might be a good idea to ink it during the stream, otherwise I'm just not gonna. I'm glad I'm almost done with inking because I'm having a bit of a weird dizzy spell. It's not dizzy per se, but it's like my eyes can't focus on anything. I was looking at a lot of Miyazaki's sketches recently, like yesterday, today, and he's such an impressive draftsman. He draws so much. That's what I wish I could sort of figure out, have a glimpse into his brain to sort of understand how he's able, how he's able, sorry, to do that. I swear I'm not a stroke, hopefully. There's a garbage truck outside, so you might hear some really loud noises. I'm trying and not quite succeeding at adding a little bit of hierarchy by making the foreground elements have a bit of a stronger line work, but it's not working really all that well. Alright, well this is not amazing, but it'll do, I guess. And I'm gonna paint over it, so... Now the one thing that I don't want to forget to do is to put the nib in a jar of water so it doesn't dry out. I'm the one who closed this. Why can't I open it? I just can't. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. What? How? Oh my gosh, what did I do? I don't get it. Oh, there it is. I tried to keep one of those thingy to help open up jars nearby, but it's not really helping. Oh my gosh, why am I struggling so much? Oh! I did it. Sorry. Okay, you, bath. Let's go. Like, I just put water in that little jar, like, just before the stream, and I closed it up, and I didn't feel like I closed it up that tight, but so good to remember to close the ink. Okay, sorry. And now what I want to do is to paint this little one here. Sorry. Right, brushes. I'm thinking of making this one perhaps a white cat, or perhaps a little Shiro cat, since she's back finally. Sorry. Just gonna put that aside. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna make that Shiro. It has a good, like, Shiro energy. I really think this paper is on its last leg because it's getting weird. I'm glad I don't have a lot of sheets left, but at the same time I hate it because this is one of my favorite papers. And I told myself that I was not going to buy another pack until I've gone through some of the paper I already have. That's hopefully still usable. Okay. I'm still using my Roman Ball mini palette that I really like. I'm focused. It is quiet today. Yeah, my paper is weird. I don't know what's up with that. This one is going to be quite brief to paint. This is really not that much going on. But it's going to be fun to work with the shiny paints. I still don't know how to paint tabby patterns. That's another thing that I need to work on, I guess. Okay, time to stretch. Also start looking into the background color for this one. Ooh, the storm one. That might be fun. Oh. Or seafoam? Why is there always two? Oh, siren is too pink. But yeah, storm or seafoam. They're really similar. One is a bit lighter than the other, but that's it. Maybe I could use the storm one for accents and then the seafoam one for the background, so it would contrast a bit more. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Yep, let's try that. So I need seafoam and storm. I need my shiny paintbrush. And a small, medium small. Seafoam is here. Storm is in this palette. All right. Okay. A bit of water. And now I just have to wait a bit for them to soften. Oh, sorry, I'm old and busted. And quite tired. Summer is really not my season. It is too hot, too wet. Too much of everything. And sleeping is hard, and I live in a basement, and there's too much stuff, so it's another too much. So too much heat, too much wet, humidity, too much stuff. And I live in a place that has too many people. This is nice. Man, the clear paints are really lovely. I had a few, was not using them, sold them. Tried the fine tech ones, like the square ones. Didn't quite like them. Sold those. And I'm started collecting these again. Hey, my friend Leaf Blower Man. Right, now I'm gonna go with seafoam and try to paint in that background. works. Still gonna do the white outline thing when everything's gonna be well dry and everything, but now I'm gonna switch back and I'm gonna paint some shadows. paints lift way too easy on this paper. I don't know if it's the paper itself or just the paints or the way I paint or a mix of all of that, but oof. But I still like this paper a lot. It's super convenient. All right. There's only going to be the highlights to do. Oh my gosh, hey, box of paint. Hello. I'm happy to see you. Look, look, look. I'm going to do the shimmer. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, I'm loving them too. It's so simple, but it's it's a lot of fun and it's super satisfying to do. Hey, Otto! Yay, people! Give me a sec, guys. Oh, my ears. Sorry about that. I'm really happy to see you guys. Yeah, I used two colors. So I used the sea foam one that's sort of a lighter green for the background. And then I used the storm one that's a really similar color to the scarf. So, I mean, I probably could have used the same color in both places, but I had fun, okay? And the only thing that's left to do is the white outline, but I have to wait until everything is fully dry to do that. Otherwise, it's just a big old mess. How is everyone today? Done working out? Good job, Otto! Woo! I am certainly not working out. Eep. I should, I don't, blah blah blah. Same old, same old. You guys, Mr. Leaf Blower is there too. Way! Jill! Hey, hi everyone! Hey! I forgot it was Thursday. Yeah, it's... I mean, you guys have 4th of July tomorrow, but even for us, our Canada Day is July 1st. So it always makes for a really hectic week. Doing really good. I started my treatment yesterday and on day one of the take-home pump thing. So far, so good. Oh, that's great. Yes. That's good news. You're all turning up at the same time. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And within the same, like, 5 minutes, which is really neat. Right, well, I need something else to do, I guess. I'm gonna try to do the white. And I can, you know, just stop if it doesn't work. It's not that easy to find a good white gel pen that works for me. I've tried the Uniball Signo ones, but they inevitably always dry out on me. Like, they're full of ink, but it won't, like, come out. And I don't know why it does that. So far, the Jelly Roll from Sakura have been the one that have worked the best, but yeah. Yeah, the Signo inks always dries out. Yeah! Even if it's a, you know, like, it's the what? It's the 1.0, so it's, you know, a big old ballpoint. And it still, like, dries out. I don't know what's up with the way they make the pens, but they really don't survive a really long time. Is there a sort of more a preferred way to notify you guys when I do the members only live streams? Is there something that I could perhaps send out, or a message or whatever, that would work out better for you guys, or if this is fine? The best advice I've gotten is to try and use the white pens as fast as possible because they'll tend to crash out. Yep. Oh. Bonus tablet is absolutely approved. Oh yeah! I got the alert, but we were... Oh, okay. Okay. So the alert did work. You guys don't have to show up, of course. If you're busy, if you have something else to do, that's perfectly fine. But just in case there's something extra I could do. I'm not always super savvy about that kind of stuff, so... Are the tablets good? That reminds me, I should try... I need to see if I can find a way to send Boxa Paint what might compare to tablet, but that is sort of local to here. I got the alert, but I wasn't looking... Okay, so the alert did work. Okay. No worries, guys, no worries. It's just, like I said, it's just that I kind of want these to be fun, so if there's anything that's not working, I'm trying to be proactive to fix it, rather than being clueless and just like, oh yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I? If that makes sense. But yeah, we have it's kind of like chocolate fudge, but white. Like, I think the best way to describe it would be sort of like cream fudge or maple fudge. But if I remember right, it's kind of the same texture as tablet. We either go super early in the morning or as late as possible as well. Yeah, it's just too hot. Yesterday was really, really hot, and I was like sweating buckets just doing the the round to take out the trash. Summer is stupid. I hate it. Take it away. Ah. I don't want it. I really don't want it. It sucks. Hold on. I have a couple of white pit pen and they work okay and don't dry out as fast as gel pen, but you have to layer them. Yeah, that's always the case though. I kind of like that these are not fully opaque because I like the little transparency effect. I think it's interesting in terms of visual hierarchy, but yeah. very good indeed. A bit warm and humid during the day, dude. All right. Oh yeah. I love the white outline. Thank you. It really works well, I think, right? I like it. Because I like having the shimmer thingy be like color coordinating with the drawing, but it makes the character kind of a bit lost. But I feel like the white outline brings the character back into the foreground, kind of. Painting looks. Oh, thank you so much, Otto. We've had to share a break. Oh no. Oh, workout for 1-2 hours. Whoa. And then we go to the spa part? Oh, dude. I love the drape of the jacket at the bottom. Thank you. It's Little Miss Shiro being a badass. It's a very welcome part of the membership. I mean, you have your own home spa, I guess. AKA the the bathroom with the bath and the all right, what do I do now though? So before you guys came along, I was inking this one, but I can't really paint it yet because it's for a video. So I'm so happy for you have that. Oh, me too. You have no idea. Oh, I had missed them so much. They're the perfect kind of interaction throughout the day. As someone working from home in the summer, like every once in a while I hear a cling 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 broop, broop, the window, and then I have a cat friend. And oh, I'm so happy they're back. They took to their cat routines back right away. Like they arrived and the next day the cats were out and going about their business like nothing had happened. It's really funny. Oh, thank you, Otto. I was rambling when I was inking that one up about how I am not like I think I'm due to try to level up my inking game so that I can be a bit more happy with the way I do things. Hold on, my camera froze. Oh, on my end, I mean. I try to keep an eye on the stream, but it... Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Hubby does a lot of dumbbell kind of stuff. I do routine on the machines because they kind of force you to have the right form. But bum and legs one day and arms and tummy the next. Ooh! I'm also glad they're... see them so well. Oh my gosh, I would steal them if I could, especially Shiro. Oh, she's the sweetest little kitty in the world. Level up in a way, what I mean by that is to kind of... I'm trying to voice it out, is because it's a bit complex, mostly because I can't see this stuff on my own. So I kind of have to force the way my brain stylize stuff. Like, it's difficult because I can only kind of do what I see. And when you're trying to do something stylized, it's difficult because you don't necessarily see it. You see the realistic thing. And every once in a while, I feel kind of stuck. Like, my sort of go-to, my shortcut in my head to stylize stuff is not really delivering in the way that I would want it to. So I feel like when that happens, I have to, quote-unquote, level up. So I have to, like, either do studies from photos, copy other artists who do a good job, and, like, focus on that for a bit, and then it sort of melts in what other stuff I have already assimilated, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's because of the aphantasia. Because I just can't. I can't see the things. And sometimes it's difficult, like, because I see something that I've done and I look at it and I'm like, there's something that bothers me with it. And I can kind of see from what I have in front of me the things that annoy me, but I don't know how to fix it because I can't necessarily see the solution to my issue. Does that make sense? That's amazing, and you could have that spread in a coloring book with no edits. I still need to erase the inking, I guess. So fortunately, my camera is attached to the other desk, but there's this cable here that might shake a bit if I decide to erase. I'm gonna try, and if it's too shaky, I'll stop. You know, it's the same thing, like when I was painting Shiro earlier. Like, I've seen her a bajillion times. I have, like, hundreds of photos of her. And I still kind of have to improvise her patterns every time I draw or paint her. Unless I have a reference, because it just doesn't stick in my head. I've had my cats for, like, 14 years. And it's still difficult to remember where their pattern goes. I mean, for Scout, there's, to some extent, there are some patterns that are just like, just do whatever, you know. But I know, like, one of her paws has a lot of, like, a big cream spot on it, and I cannot remember which one it is. She has a red mark on her head that we call her flame, but I can never remember on which side it is. Peko has her white markings that, aside from the sort of harrow on her back, I have to go I have to go see the real thing to be able to draw her. And it's annoying at times because you're like, oh my gosh, how many times have I seen this thing? But it doesn't stick. I really have to, like, build up a structure to be able to sort of memorize all this stuff. But it's a lot of stuff to memorize. So every once in a while, if I don't maintain that knowledge, I just lose it. Damn you, Fantasia. Yeah, seriously. Makes perfect sense. Oh, I'm glad you guys get it. I ask, what are the cats that... I think they're kind of like little statues that were in the lake. I saw a photo of little wooden statues of humans in water, and I was like, oh, that's a fun thing. I'm gonna draw something, you know, inspired by that. I'm getting sweaty erasing. That's not great. Oh. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Why do we both have to have conditions that make it so much harder to... Oh, a question for the ages, seriously. I always have a good chuckle at myself whenever I hear other artists talking about how a piece didn't turn out the way they planned, because I'm always in shock and awe that people can... Yeah, that's the thing. It has to be a process. Muscle memory is a strong need. Yeah, it is a really strong skill, but you have to build it, and that's so much work. It is so much work to build up muscle memory. Like, you have to repeat the action so much. Like, Jesus, what's that? Oh, the Japanese thing, perhaps. It looked like more of a Scandinavian, or, you know, well, like the Balkans, perhaps, in a kind of designs, but yeah, I think it's a bit like that. Just let you know if there is no shake at all in the cam. Oh yeah! Seriously, I respond to what I put down on paper. Occasionally I've been known to have some target colors. Yeah, that's kind of how I roll too. Like, this is why there's a process to it. I've seen artists that they will take their ink pen and they will have a blank sheet, like, like this, and they will be like, and they will start here with the ink pen and draw and draw and draw and finish the drawing. No sketch, no sort of planning on the paper, no setting stuff down as guidelines or whatever, just and a drawing. What? How? I have to, like, I always start my drawing with the third lines, the rule of thirds, so that I'm like, okay, so what's the focus? It's like asking yourself a bajillion question to build something up. You kind of have to trick yourself into building whatever you want to create from nothing. So it's like, okay, so I have my rule of thirds. What is the main focus of my painting? Okay, so I'm going to put it at this intersection. What's the other thing that I want to do? Oh, it's this thing. All right, so I'm setting these guys up. How do I want to... Like, everything is always about asking questions. And sometimes painting is... Like, the colors are like that too. I will have an idea of a color I want to use, or I will have an idea of how one thing in the image is going to be, like, what colored. Like, let's say, for this painting, I really want the bushes to be purple. And then I start with purple, and I have I bounce back from the purple to the other colors. And then when there's more stuff colored, I look at those colors and I'm like, what else would work? And that's the only thing I can build it up. Which is why doing digital art is particularly annoying, because there are no limits. There are no constraints. You can tweak everything endlessly, which is kind of bad when you don't really know what you want, because you're going to change everything and it's going to be different, and you're going to look at it and be like, well, I can't tell if this is what I wanted because I didn't know what I want, That's why I really love doing stuff on the iPad, because I can try to do a lot of the things I want, but can then move them around to make the real drawing much more straightforward. Yeah, that's the advantage of digital, truly. I can even make the subject fit into the paper. I have a chisel statue of each of our puppers, and I know they are sad, but also make me very happy when I see them hiding. Aww. Oh, 4. For each of our puppers. Oh, that's lovely. They're little protectors. Aww. At uni, one of my courses was about making films and short, and I just couldn't understand how people were able to plan how they wanted to shoot a scene. Yeah, that's what I did something similar, because I've worked and studied in 2D animation, like cartoon animation. And you kind of have to go through the process as well, but it's a storyboard. So basically, you decide everything, which I don't know why, but it kind of makes it easier because you don't have necessarily to see the potential in a place. You can sort of all make it up as you go, you know. But yeah, when I try to decorticate, like when I try to look at a movie and break it down into the shots and the scenes and how it was set up, I always go out of that exercise being completely flabbergasted. Like, I don't know how they make it happen. I have no idea. It's just magic. But they wanted to do this thing before they just started a bunch of things on. Yeah. In animation, though, you kind of have to plan. But, like, if a location doesn't exist, it's who cares? You invent it. Like, that's what saves it. Yes, how can I know if this is what I want when I'm not sure what I want to? Yeah, I didn't have a goal. I had a vague goal in the sense that was like, I want to finish this. I want to do a painting. I want to do a background, you know, like very basic stuff. But oh my gosh, what boggles my mind are photorealistic artists that start from a small section and shade the area to perfection, then do another. Oh yeah, I don't know. First of all, how do you know if it's gonna be accurate or not? Like, it's fully not how my brain works. And yeah, you see them, they have this all this planned out, and they start like, oh, I'm gonna render this flower perfectly first, and you're like, okay. And then I'm gonna move on to this other area, and like, okay. And then this one, and this one, and this one, and then the whole picture, and you're like, I don't get it. How? Well, this is not how my brain works, I can tell you that. Ironically, when I read a script, I can often picture the set on the stage and how the actors will move, but I cannot apply those skills to... Oh, that's interesting. Jill, same here. I can see where the lights need to go. See, I don't. I don't see any of this stuff. I can... That's not true. I can sort of see it. Like, because I always bring everything back to storyboarding, because that's the way of telling stories that I'm kind of used to. And yeah, I guess when you're storyboarding a shot, you can decide this stuff. But again, the main advantage of doing storyboard is that you are not all that limited by the limitations of the physical world. Like, you can cheat, which is such a key factor of animation. It is so important to be able to cheat in animation. Not cheat for the sake of cheating, but cheating for the sake of making a better story or giving off a better feeling for a specific shot. Like, let's say you build up a real stage and you have 3 spots. Well, you cannot in one shot have a 4th spot. But in animation, if you don't see the spots above, you can have more than 3. You can have a bajillion if you want. Like, there's no limitation. Of course, if you include a shot where we see the ceiling and all the spots that are there, fine. But if you always have the camera on the stage itself, you can do whatever you want. You can have extra actors if you need. You can switch things up. Like, it's sky's the limit, as long as you can either obstruct it, like hide it, which I call cheating, or make it fit with whatever you've already set in the context of your creation, if that makes any sense. I can even light my... Lighting, at-home lighting is a real pain in the butt, I think, because they always tell you that you will buy lights that are super strong, and then when you get them, they're never strong enough. So you try to light up your space, and everything's still very dark, and you're like, whoa. I can keep track of a whole rig of light, where they're pointing, what colors, but I can't keep track of what's in it. Oh, that's peculiar. Do you know why? There's a sort of a distinction in your brain between the two. Just found out that there's an Urban Sketcher Weekend Workshop. Ooh! I looked through the workshop options and so many were about planning various aspects of a piece. I wish I knew in advance whether the... Oh, yeah. Huh. I plan to at least purchase the ticket to the market. Is it expensive? I am excellent at art shopping. I don't need this anymore, really. Whoop. I feel that give you enough guidance that it would take that pressure off. Yeah, it really depends on what kind of approach they have with planning a painting. Turns out that was just photosensitive. Oh, so because it is light. Whereas a paint palette is not light, it's paint. It's kind of the opposite. Oh, that's fascinating. In a way. I'm guessing that being photosensitive is not great, but that's sort of a facet of it that I wouldn't have thought about. It's $300 for the morning and afternoon workshop on Saturday. $25 for the market fair. Ooh. Oh, that's hefty. $25 for the market fair, that's fine. I mean, it's still sadly $25 that you can't spend on supplies, really. Which is annoying. I get the same feeling whenever I go to a convention somewhere. Because a lot of conventions are like you have to pay to get in, which my favorite convention is there's a few of them because the concept is they are comics and arts festivals. So you have one in Toronto, which is TCAF. You have one in Vancouver, which is VCAF. You have one in Montreal that is, oddly enough, not necessarily named MCAF because of the bilingual thingy. But anyway, they're all the same kind of idea generally. And my favorite part of these is that entry is free. The one in Toronto is usually set in a really nice public library, which is great, which is awesome. So people, like, it's accessible to everyone, and whatever money these people want to spend on artists they love, it doesn't get taken away from them before they even get there, you know? Steve, I'm sorry, still not sinking in $300 like US dollars, 300, which is why I wanted to be sure it would be helpful before I lay out that kind of money. Fair, totally fair. Yeah, absolutely. $150 USD for the morning and the same. Bro. I mean, let's just all get together and brainstorm this out. I'm pretty sure we could help you and it would be absolutely free. You're better off setting that money aside and take time to find a few online courses that, yeah, or like I said, like just use that money to buy yourself the time to go outside and just try to draw and see on the spot what kind of works and doesn't work for you. Like, I was quite surprised they're charging admission for the market. Yeah, I'm not gonna take the workshop. Yeah, it's too much of an unknown and very expensive, I find. It bugs me because the whole freaking idea of urban sketching is that it's free. Or worst case scenario, it costs you a coffee and a cookie in a cafe somewhere. You know? And then you sit down and you paint whatever is around you. whatever you feel like. Having workshop for that is, well, I mean, it might be that UK is comparatively cheap, but $25 for just entry to the market seems very steep. Here it'd be like £5. It really depends. I don't know how much of a market fair it is. Like the big, it's still kind of funny, but the big business fairs like can be a bit more expensive because it's mostly about renting the space and all of that. But I always feel kind of odd when they want me to pay to get in some place where I'm gonna buy stuff. It would be like if I had to pay to get in the shopping mall. It's like, I'm sorry. How is that supposed to work? There's also a lot of great urban sketchers on YouTube. That's true. That's true. It does for here too. They're having it in a rented building, so I understand charging a little for entry. But this is awfully steep. Yeah, $25 is a lot for entry. I think around Christmas we paid around £10 for the fair. But much more than that, and we figured we'll use that to pay for shipping. I mean, £10, I can still, like, that would perhaps be around my limit for just the entry. But yeah, I can sort of tolerate £5 to £10, or that would be what, like 10 to, I mean, $15 to just get in someplace. Also, you get in someplace to buy more stuff. That's the part that get to me. It's like I'm going there to buy stuff. Why do I have to buy to just get in? I don't know. I grew up on oh, what's the name of those? Yard sales. I grew up on yard sales. You don't have to pay. Well, actually, the place near my parents where they would set up like hundreds of tables in a parking lot for the Sunday quote unquote yard sale. You had to buy a table to be there, but it was, if you were just visiting, you didn't have to pay. Like, of course, if you're selling, you have to buy a space, but if you're just going there to buy stuff, you won't have to pay to get. I think the most expensive thing I've been to like that was a Japanese fair in London, but my £35 ticket also included a 2-hour sake tasting experience, and whoa, okay. So is the $25 on top of the $300, or do you get in for free if you pay the $300? I mean, not necessarily that would sell me on the $300, but at the very least, I really hope you don't have to pay extra to go to the market. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to correct one of the eyes here, but I can do that later. No, I can do that now. I just need a fine liner. There. They're a bit more the same size this way. I enjoy urban sketching, but it's not my life. I wanted to see the gear being offered and the artists selling their work, but at $25, I think I'll just visit my local independent art store. That's a lovely idea, though. I think it's all piecemeal, all separate prices. I think you broke a toe, Jill. Microtransaction hell. This is not micro, this is macro. See, this was my immediate reaction to, and I'm so relieved you all are having, yeah, That's what I was saying, Otto. I guess the and if you will pardon my French, but I guess the grifters got to the urban sketching gig, right? Like I've always been under this impression that urban sketching is just you go somewhere free in a city, you sit down and you draw and paint. That's it. And it's not necessarily about having a or no, hold on. It's not necessarily about needing a specific set of skills to do urban sketching. It's just about honing the skills you already have and drawing the things you like and learning from being in a different setup. I thought it was a sketchbook and a pen deal. Maybe a small set. I mean, some people, like, when you see them do urban sketching, I think Liz Steele is one of them. But they have, oh my gosh, the setup they have. Like, they have a belt, and they have a bajillion pens and pencils, and then they have another pouch with another bunch of stuff, and then they have 2 palettes, and then they have bottles, and then they have stuff, and you're like, dude, how do you even keep track of everything? I thought it was a sketchbook and a pen deal. Yeah, that's the way I do it. Yeah, I think you are. What you're doing, Jill, is fine. You just, if you feel too stuck, I think it might be just about doing it a bit more. What on earth is this elitist event? $325, and then they expect you to buy things at the market. Does the workshops, do they provide the material you'll need to accomplish the workshops? I hope so. In a way, I've always felt like urban sketching was a bit closer to journaling than, I don't know, what would be the fine art, I guess. But then again, I mean, think about it. Like, people like James Gurney, they do quote-unquote urban sketching in the sense that they set up their easel on a sidewalk somewhere, sit down, set up their thing, their pochade box, and they paint. And he will paint with gouache or with, what's the thing that he likes to use? A cassine. And just paint. And you have people who set up like easels with, it's like plein air, but in a city. Like, I don't think I want to know the answer to F's questions. Oh, man. But also, and I'm gonna, venture out an assumption, but I feel like, I feel like we might not be the most indicative people to ask that, Jill, because I feel like Box, Otto, and I are more on the figure it out on your own kind of way, kind of person. So, though Otto has taken quite a few classes about various painting things, so maybe I'm wrong on that. But I've always struggled with classes, and especially the really like precise stuff, because it's like I don't necessarily want to do exactly the same thing you do, and I can't. Whenever I try to do that, I always like take a tangent somewhere and go on a different path. I've always had a bone to pick with urban sketching, and I might as well pick it. All right, what's your issue with urban sketching, Otto? For me, the thing is that I feel like it's so hard already to free oneself of all those weird rules we've accumulated in our lives that limit what we think we can and cannot do. Like, it's already a mess. Why would I want to go to a workshop where they give me a new set of rules that I will tolerate because they're new, but after a while I'm gonna be annoyed at them as well, and they're gonna make me feel like crap if I don't follow these rules, you know? Urban sketching always stated that they are inclusive. However, they come down really hard on people who draw from a photo. What if you go there, take the photo, and then draw it at home? I mean, it's a different exercise, but I wouldn't discredit it. That's the thing. It's definitely not. Hold on. It's definitely not the same as sketching on location. I say as I spit on my painting. Like, it's not the same as doing it on location, because doing it on location comes with its own set of limitations and constraints and challenges. But if you take a photo and you draw it at home, that's fine too. Like, the last art class I took, I really appreciated the fact that I had a subject to try, but the rest was not for me. I like online classes where yeah, that too. Do not tell me, oh, seriously, like, I would love classes just on the technical aspect of things. Like, like, it would be one class basically, which gives you the basics. Like, oh, this is watercolor. Watercolor is a pigment in a water-soluble binder. You can pour it in a palette, you can pour it in pans, you can buy pans. You can let it dry and then re-wet it and it's going to be fine. The more water you had, the more diluted. Blah, 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 blah. Here's all the technical bit about this medium. Now, go have fun. If someone had to sit me down and told me that for today's class we're going to paint washes. No, get lost. No. Oh. And for some people, there are a lot of obstacles, both physical and emotional, that make that super hard. And I don't think there's anything wrong with sketching from photos. Suggestion: helpful advice is welcome, but don't tell me that ink and wash. I'm sorry, who told you that? Do they have a name and an address? I'm gonna grab my baseball bat and I'm gonna pay them a visit. Ugh. And that it's not the same as painting. You know what's missing in our lives, I think? It's a one of those like podcast thingies where people can call in and vent out absurd exchanges they've had with other art people. Like that. Like all the weird elitist nonsense that we come across. It's although, like, the thing with urban sketching, I feel like it's a bit like plein air. If you paint a landscape from a photo, you're not really doing plein air, because it doesn't come with the same challenges of doing plein air. But it's fine. It's a painting still, and you're enjoying it. So I feel like urban sketching is the same. It's not really urban sketching when you sketch from a photo at home. But who cares? Like, fine, it's not gonna have the label of an urban sketch. Ooh, whatever, you know. I feel like these, dang cables. I feel like these labels, quote unquote, are just useful to indicate like basic information about the artwork, but they're not indicative of any value. Like, they don't add or remove value to a painting. I didn't take any painting classes in university because I didn't want to do all the exercises of learning to paint. Like, oh man, the still life painting. Oh man, I would. It is so boring. It is so boring. If that works for you, great. I'm gonna do me. Exactly. Exactly. Photos are great to paint from. It enables you to attempt to capture a moment of light. It is. It is a really good reference that won't change all the time. It is a different challenge, and it's just as good as any other art. That's the thing. Like, plein air has its own challenges. Urban sketching has its own challenges, and then painting at home has also its challenges. Like, it's just. I just startled my cat from cackling with laughter. Oh my gosh. Art gripes with Ev. When I go out on walks and things, the concept of painting is exhilarating, but for me, it's more that it made me feel a certain way. Yeah, I like that. That's the whole thing. I feel like you can easily go outside on a walk, take a photo of a moment that you like, so that you can go back to it and then use that just as a base to draw the moment. Like a sunset or a sunrise is always a good example, because it's impossible to take a photo of those moments and have the colors be the right colors. Everything is always washed out. Our phone cameras are not good at taking photos of the lights that come with a sunset or a sunrise. But the advantage of taking a photo is that then you have this element in your photo gallery that you will see again, that will remind you that you were inspired in that moment and that you wanted to paint this. Because you guys know, out of sight, out of mind. So if I don't take the photo, I'm gonna forget about it. I'm not gonna be able to draw it because I don't have the reference in front of me, you know? Oh man, I'm having weird trauma memories of trauma. Trauma is a bit of a strong word, but I'm having weird unpleasant memories of all the times I was told to draw a still life. And uh, to have a teacher set up on top of a table, a chair, a stool, a blanket, like a white drapey blanket, uh, probably some sort of vase of or whatever object, and more often than not, a doll. Always a doll on there. Whether it's more of a like a cutesy scarecrow kind of doll, or a just a doll, or like a kettle, and you're just like, oh my gosh. It like, you have this aspect of making art here, that's that aspect here, and the stuff that I kind of like and want to do is over here. And if you notice, there is no overlap whatsoever. There's even a lot of distance between them. But yeah, it's the stuff you're told to do, and you're like when I look at the people that to me represent more what I think is awesome about doing art, they don't doesn't feel like they had to bother with that kind of stuff all that much. For the 1 week I tried art school, I was told, draw the shape, not the line. Don't use lines. I had the lecturer at uni that refused to accept any artwork that you couldn't break down your inspiration to the ultimate degree. So I was on the bus and saw some people sitting under a tree. It was a But Box, you know what? That only means you have to get better at your bullshit skills. I had to get better on my bullshit skills when I was doing graphic design. And let me tell you, I'm pretty sure the teacher saw through it, but they couldn't say you had nothing. You're like, hey, I gave you something. You cannot tell me I didn't give you anything. But yeah, like I saw some people sitting under a tree. And I was looking at them, and the way they were sitting, it reminded me of the Triforce, like the way the life force works and communicates between people. And they were sitting under a tree. So you have this aspect of it that's like growth that comes from the ground, but also that protects them with the leaves. And, you know, I could go on. I could go on and on and on and on. Saying that made me think of X when it led to me Y, and then it led to Z, which led me to painting was very minimal. Oh god, it's not the stool or chair on the table in stark lighting. And the dolls, like creepy ones. I mean, I think they're just like regular dolls, they're not creepy. But it's just like, I don't want to draw that, I don't care. And then the teacher walks around behind you and is like, oh, you didn't get the distance between this and that right. And you're like, if you knew how much I don't give a crap. I don't want to do realistic stuff. I want the stuff to be believable, but I don't want it to be rendered realistically. Like, I want the chair to look like a chair, but I don't care that there are no shapes, no chair with these exact proportions anywhere in the planet. Like, I don't give a crap. Can you look at it and go like, oh, that's a chair. Job's done. I'm done. And in the museum, draw the space, don't draw what's... How the heck are you supposed to draw without lines? Well, I mean, they want you to build form, which is... Like, I've gone through that multiple times, and I get it. I get why the teachers say that. I don't say that I agree with it. But they basically want you to think in terms of volumes and shapes, and not things defined by their contour, you know. Because if you're capable of thinking of things in terms of shape, you can more easily understand why they're lit this way, why they look this way, why their shadow is this way, you know, that kind of stuff. But, I mean, it's not everyone can do that. That's the part that gets to me. Not two brains are the same, so everyone's perception is different, and not everyone will thrive in a context of rendering stuff super realistically. And they always tell you, you have to learn how to do it realistically first, and then you can, you know, stylize them. Like, yeah, okay, sure. And the thing about draw the space, don't draw what's in the space, that's a really, like, kind of stupid way to present the idea of drawing the space around the object rather than the object, which is a valid technique. Because sometimes when you just focus on the object, since you know what the object is, like, since you know, like, since I know that this is a cat, my brain will be like, it's a cat. And I won't necessarily pay attention to all the details of the object here. Like, I might miss out that it has an indent here. But if I pay attention to the space around the object, like the silhouette, really, then I'll be like, oh, so it has an indent here, then a big curve, another indent, and then another curve. It's 1, 2, 3 curves. It kind of helps you see things in a sort of complementary way, I feel like. I've always felt like looking at the shape, the space around an object is a good way to inform you on how to draw the object without looking at the object. Does that make sense? Probably not, but... And he never demonstrated what he meant or what the difference is. He just told people, oh... You've all seen my pretend Daniels with blurbs. It's definitely helped develop. I think some art teachers have a bug up their butt that they aren't making art to sell or exhibit, so they treat you. Yeah. You know what they say, those who can't do teach. I need real direction and examples and explanations. Don't give me a vague concept and expect me. Yeah. That's fine, form is fine, but this is a beginner class, first lesson, maybe demonstrate. Yeah, and you know, maybe if you are gonna demonstrate this kind of stuff, you have to start with letting people draw lines, because if they don't draw the lines, you can't use that as a base to get them to understand the form. You know, when they put like the sphere, the white sphere, and the harsh lighting, and you have the shadow and the lighting, whatever, the fudge. I mean, if a person doesn't draw the circle first, how do you get them to build the shape of the sphere? Like, it's not. I hate these guys. I hate them so much. I don't get it at all. How do I physically put shapes on paper with a pencil without making a line? Well, the thing is they want you to make a big line, basically. Like, they want you to go in with, okay, from experience, whenever, like, I studied drawing in the context of cartoon animation and illustration, so line work is really important in those mediums. So whenever we would go to the more artsy-fartsy classes about, you know, drawing from life and all that, they would basically tell us, instead of drawing with your pencil, grab a big pastel and use it on the side to make a big swath of gray. You know, like if you press more, it's going to be darker, and if you press less, it's going to be lighter. So it's technically a big line, but I think what they mean when they say don't use a line is that they don't want you to think about the outline of an object. They want you to think about the values of the object, really. So instead of creating the object by outline, you try to build it up by starting with just the values of the colors, and you don't define the object with line work. The no line dude shouted at me in front of the whole class, so I just walked out and never went back. Oh my gosh. Yep. It's fine. I know what I want to create, and I know I will figure out. Yeah, that's basically good. I've paid to be here, and you've wasted my time and money. I would have followed you right out the door. Yeah, it's... Me in school would have been too chicken to do anything, but me right now would give that guy so much crap. Still a line. Well, you just explained in 2 minutes what the teacher absolutely failed to teach in the whole class. That's what I said. It is like a big line, technically. Like, you're still using a tool and putting it on paper and doing some linear things with it. So, yeah, you're doing a line, but it's really... If the guy meant it in the way that I was taught stuff at art school, it's more about learning about the shapes of things and trying to see things for their values rather than their, you know, contour. So focus on the planes and contours on the surface instead of... Yeah, like, hold on, let me see if I can find a way to, I know I have the right supplies, they're just a bit further out here. I don't want to get them out. If you guys will give me a second. Oh, that's not the right one. Where is it? Oh, fudge, it's further out than I thought. Okay. Sorry. I don't really use these guys a lot, so they're stored away. Okay, I have some in here. I have the one. Okay, I have the one looking for. Good. And then I'm gonna grab some printer paper because it doesn't have to be fancy. Shiro! Hello, baby! Hello! I have a friend! Right, sorry. I feel like I almost get it. Alright, so let's say I'm gonna grab this one. This is basically just graphite, okay? So I have my eraser here that you can probably see. So it's not very light, it's not lit in a stark way, so I'm gonna BS this. Oh my gosh, that's awesome, Otto. So what they want you to do is, like, instead of doing the eraser with, like, doing it like, okay, so there's this bit, this bit, this bit. There, I drew the eraser, okay? This is line. And then I think that what they wanted you to do would be like to be, okay, so this is the part that's like in the shadow, so you make the shadow of the eraser. And then it's on an object, so you have like the contact shadow here, and you have like it spreads the shadow out, so you build it up like this. And then in the back of it, like the part that's not lit up, it's a bit lighter, so you kind of have it up. And here you have like the very thin shadow of the wrapper. I'm not like, this is rubbish, but I think you might be able to understand what it means, kind of. So I didn't draw this with line. Yeah, but I think the issue is that the teacher sucked and was not able to explain what he wanted from you guys nicely. But he wanted you to build the object up with the values rather than trace the outline of it. And then, you know, like do this after. You know? It has a hard edge because it has an angle here, but if you had a more spherical item, like, you would probably have like a smooth gradient of things. Like, you have the contact light of your sphere, and then you sort of build it up by going through the values, and you try to make them nice and good, and then you can have this bit here, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't go about this, like, I didn't start with this is my circle, and then I do the shadow, like, whatever, like line, you know. Build the object up with values. That seems like a thing you could do. Yeah, and I feel like it's something that watercolor is also a good medium for, because you can start light, and you can layer, and you can build up, you know. So you can kind of work up objects with values. That's just it, and that's usually why they tell you to reach out for the charcoal or whatever when they try to get people to understand that bit. But it's not complex. You just have to be able to assess what the students will understand and what they won't, and to just be like, no lines. It's just like, ugh. I had a teacher, so I was studying animation, and the way the cursus was built up, we had classes with animation teachers, and we had classes with arts teachers. The fine arts teachers were always, artsy fartsy. And I remember one time there was a teacher, I hated her, okay? She made us do things that were just a waste of time rather than actually helpful. Okay, that's my synthesizing why I didn't like her. And she had us take 2 sheets of, the big pads of paper they have you buy in art class. It's usually like 18 inches by 24 inches. So she was like, take 2 of these. On one of them, you do a self-portrait like the usual way. Realistically, like I'm doing it cartoony just for the sake of the explanation, but she was like, you do this realistically, so you work your shadows in and blah, 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 blah. And for the other one, do you know what she told us? She told us to take our charcoal and to cover the whole sheet black with charcoal. And then, once we had made the biggest mess of our lives, she was like, and then you grab your erasers and you build up the same portrait, but by removing the dark. And I think if I could have killed someone just with my brain, I would have at that moment, but I was like, this is so stupid. I understand what she's trying to get us to do, but it is stupid. So what I handed in was that I took 2 sheets and I did the portrait on both. No, she wanted us to make it black. But what I did is I did the portrait on both, but for one of the portraits, I purposefully made everything, a bit darker. Like, I kept some of the white. The issue is, if you cover a paper with charcoal, you're not going to be able to lift it to white. So instead, I kept my paper white, but I just made sure that the shadows and whatnot were really dark, like I made everything just a bit darker. And for the regular one, I made everything just a bit lighter. And I was like, oh, maybe she'll see through it. Maybe I'm screwed, but I don't give a And I ended in and whatever. And then she comes back over to work and she was like, oh, yours was really good. And I was like, yeah, it was, right? And I never told her that I had, like used my veto powers to do whatever I wanted with it. She didn't see through it. She didn't see through anything. She had a doctorate in sculpture. And I was like, okay, that's a choice, certainly. But yeah, she was not the chef Sharon. I mean, she must have had. And just to go back quickly to the thing of not drawing the lines of an object, I feel like it kind of ties back a bit to seeing, like it's actually just negative shapes. Because you, like this sphere, like let's say it's a white sphere lit really starkly, there's always an area of the sphere that's gonna be only visible because it's over a darker background. And I think that's what they mean. Like instead of looking at your sphere and all of that, they want you to pay attention to what's behind it, like the darkness that's behind it. And that's what you kind of use to define the shape of the item in some areas. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Like it's not complex. It's not rocket science. It's just like just basic art stuff, but they're not good at like explaining it. I don't know, because it's super useful sometimes to be able to define an object by the space around it, but it's not always useful, and it's just it's just a tool like any other. That's it. That's all there is to it, really. Blech. That's a choice. Yeah, it is basically just negative space, but with an elitist posh attitude about it. For me, I know that it's a notion that has always fascinated me, regardless of art or whatever, but that a thing is defined by what it is, but also by what it is not. That's always something that I find super fascinating, regardless of what it is. Like, um, take anything, and it's just such a fun mental exercise to just think of the thing in terms of what it's not. But in art, yeah, it's just like, oh, if something, like if you look at the negative space, you can realize that an angle is much sharper than you had thought, because your brain once was stuck on uh, the object rather than the shape of the object. That's it. And that's it for today's art lesson or whatnot. If you have any other weird things that art teachers told you that you might want some different insight, I might be able to share something. Like, I'm realizing that I've been studying art for 25 years and more. So I guess I know a few things, turns out. But yeah, I will happily share whatever I know or whatever I don't know. It's funny because on, like, the graphite I used is so shiny that you can't really see the dark of my stupid doodles. Like, everything looks really gray, but it is kind of dark. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for being here. It was a lot of fun to chat with you guys today, and maybe I should start these a bit later, because I think most people are a bit more free. Most members are a bit more free a bit later, but yeah. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Happy 4th of July to Jill. And we will see each other on Saturday. I had a weird moment where my brain went, oh, you're gonna have to stream early on Saturday because you have something again. And I'm like, do I? And I don't. So stream Saturday should be same time as usual. Erasing charcoal. Yeah, I know. And as a student, like, you have limited funds, and this stupid teacher wants you to use up like freaking charcoal on the 18 by 24 inches piece of paper. That's okay. Anyway, thank you so much, Jill. Have a good rest of the week. See you all on Saturday and on a Discord and every other areas. And take care. And yep, bye bye.